What's the difference between a wet raccoon and Donald J. Trump's hair? A wet raccoon doesn't have $7 billion in the bank.
Donald Trump. Don't make yourself dependent on technology. Many technological advancements are not so necessary and also very costly. There is no computer on my desktop. I never use the intercom. When I invite someone into my office, I just yell. It works much more efficiently than a phone call, and in addition, it is much faster. Donald Trump. Before I start talking about this person, I want to invite you to imagine a surreal picture from Disney cartoons where the cubs of different animals play on the same playground. And now imagine, among the bunnies, puppies, roe deer, and various opossums and raccoons, a bull calf frolicking in its own way. While some need to develop their legs, others their jaws, others a sense of danger, the bull calf needs to learn to feel its strength and control over the herd, to realize one day that a huge number of bull calves will follow it. Perhaps you had a childhood friend who was similar to Biff Tannen from the Back to the Future trilogy. Remember such an anti-hero with a company of hooligans who wanted to get Marty McFly's girlfriend? We all didn't like him very much, and I laughed heartily when a truck with manure was dumped on Biff and company. Remember? Later in the next episodes, Biff will get a magazine with a list of sports wins and become a very influential person. This is a fairly vivid image of a clumsy thug leader, a guy who is used to uniting people around his ideas and goals, those who do not have their own ideas. Whether Biff was a good person or a bad person is beside the point. This is just a character created according to the rules of dramaturgy. We are interested in something else. Who can become a person who has an exact goal, inner and physical strength, who knows how to draw conclusions from his defeats, while having intuition and a mind to strengthen his position? My answer is yes, anyone. It seems that this is exactly what Donald Trump is doing, who has become the prototype of Biff. Yes, you may dislike him, and his direct statements and bad behavior may irritate you.
Hell are we doing? Knock the hell out of my tax proposal cuts the hell out of tax. What the hell is going on?
But he was born into his family, living up to expectations. His father, like any father, probably taught him what was important to himself. And Donald, like all the children, watched and copied his leader.
My father is German, right? Was German.
Donald's father was a well-known entrepreneur. This largely influenced the choice of his son. Another thing is that Donald's father could not even imagine how far his bull calf would go. If you read the biography of the 45th President of the United States, you will understand that this position is Donald's personal work, his personal choice to achieve his own and continue despite failures. He had a brother who didn't make that choice and, for tragic but predictable reasons, died a young man.
I learned myself. I had a brother, Fred. Great guy. Best looking guy. Best personality. Much better than mine. But he had a problem. He had a problem with alcohol.
At the same time, he greatly influenced Donald Trump himself, who, remembering the fate of his brother, does not drink alcohol and does not smoke.
And he would tell me, don't drink. Don't drink. He was substantially older, and I listened to him and I respected, but he would constantly tell me, don't drink. He'd also add,
of course, like every person, he has his weaknesses. But from this, he learned to receive benefits and income, becoming the master of the beauty contest Miss World. Well, who is against beauty? Of course, here he acted like Donald Trump. Maybe if Clinton had been in his place, we would not have known about such a competition, since it would have been held in the Oval Office behind closed doors. But apparently, this is Donald Trump himself. What is his main advantage? After all, most of the United States citizens voted for him. Perhaps in something to be the best among the best. If you build a skyscraper, then it should be in the best location. If you surround yourself with girls, then they should be the best ones. If you hire a person to work, then be sure to find the right one, the best one. Do you remember his unique show? And in this, he also became good, having gained popularity, a star on the Walk of Fame, and a considerable income. And being the president of a great power in a difficult period, to make it great again?
We will make America safe again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
True. If you don't like something, then you don't care about all the rules. We build a fence and fence ourselves off. Does not care about the rules. Decided to hug an elderly woman, hugged, and doesn't care that this is the Queen of the United Kingdom, and he would most likely have had his head cut off for such hugs 200 years ago. Well, in the end, he may not be the first US president who openly spoke out against the vices of the American democratic system, but he is definitely the first who decided on an open rebellion. What do you think of this person? It will be interesting to discuss if you write about it in the comments. Also, write your suggestions. Which famous person's astrological chart would you like to know about? Be sure to subscribe to our channel and do not forget to click on the bell to follow all of our updates. Can Donald Trump become the United States of America's savior? As the 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump was, to put it mildly, very original, even eccentric. I well remember the state of shock in Europe after Trump's unexpected victory in the elections. Well, the presidency of Donald Trump was more like a farce, a tragicomedy, and clowning at the same time. Agree, it was difficult to perceive him as the leader of the most powerful country in the world. Therefore, it will be very interesting to consider the horoscope of Donald Trump, born June 14, 1949 at 10:54 in New York, USA, and understand what causes his behavior. Donald Trump is a Gemini. However, his behavior is not at all typical for the classical representatives of this sign. From the qualities of Gemini in him, perhaps we can only discern a love for communicating with short messages, Twitter, the ability to get along with the public, as well as a lack of desire to delve into the essence of the problem, like one of his suggestions to ingest hand sanitizer during a pandemic.
By injection inside or almost a cleaning.
As for the appearance and behavior of Trump, well, here he certainly shows all the qualities of a Leo. This is his lion's mane, and his love of narcissism, and the desire to be the center of attention and artistry, and love for public speaking and categorical statements, and the style of communication with partners. He behaved like a Roman emperor, thinking the leaders of other countries were people like his vassals. And there are good reasons for this. The appearance of a person and his behavior in public largely determines the first house in a person's horoscope. And at the time of the birth of Donald Trump, the sign of Leo was just rising. But besides that, Mars and Pluto are in Leo in Trump's horoscope. Together, this determines his style of behavior. People with this position of Mars do not like competition and objections. They always strive to demonstrate their physical superiority. Most likely, this is what determines Trump's ability of pulling a person towards him during a handshake. Come here, I'm stronger. Mars in Leo will do everything to constantly be the center of attention and at the same time receive applause and compliments. He also does not tolerate any restrictions on his will or objections. The intolerance of restrictions and objections in Trump's horoscope is also due to the conjunction of the Sun with Uranus. This union rewards the owner with the desire for creative self-realization, eccentric behavior, and a total disregard for traditions and good manners. This is a kind of rebel who is ready to turn everything upside down in order to achieve his goals and self-affirmation. It's hard for me to imagine the degree of indignation of the protocol services of the countries Trump visited. He simply ignored all the established rules. In theory, a person whose sun, core beliefs, values, life credo is connected with Uranus, progressive views, democracy, should not have chosen the Conservative Party as a political platform. Such people in principle should not have conservative views. However, in Trump's horoscope, many other factors completely eliminate this democratic potential. Firstly, in order to adhere to democratic views, a person must first have at least some conscious ideological position developed during their life. Democracy does not occur in nature. It is an artificially created and consciously chosen model of the social structure of society. And for Donald Trump, the sun, which should be responsible for developing a conscious life position, a life credo, is in conjunction with the North Lunar Node. This means that this planet is not karmically developed. According to the functions of this planet, the owner must gain experience throughout his life. In other words, such a position of the sun in the horoscope indicates that it is difficult for a person to form their own views on life. It is difficult to develop a certain ideology, moral values, and conscious preferences. This is an indicator of an immature personality whose task for this incarnation is to form their own position, their I. Such a sun manifests itself only through egocentrism and being connected with Uranus as extravagant acts of a capricious child. Trump's sun is in opposition to the moon, which is conjunct with the South Lunar Node. And this indicates that Trump's behavior is based primarily on family attitudes and rules that he received in childhood. Also, his behavior is highly influenced by emotional impulses and is often based on subconscious impulses. In other words, Donald Trump cannot always explain the reason for his actions. He acts on a hunch, as intuition advises. The same position of the moon shows that Trump tends to listen to his wife, and indeed to the female part of his environment, which has a great influence on Trump's decisions. On the other hand, the opposition of the moon and the sun creates tension and serious problems in family relationships. It turns out that, on the one hand, Donald Trump needs the advice and support of his wife, and on the other hand, his lion's temperament does not accept any advice. I think that everything happens like this. Donald asks his wife for an opinion, gets an answer, then accuses his wife of incompetence and says that he will do everything himself. But in the end, he does as his wife advised him. Trump's conservatism is also due to the position of 3 planets, Mercury, Venus, and Saturn, in Cancer. This would be more than enough for a conservative viewpoint. In addition, Venus, which is responsible for the preference and values of the owner, is conjunct Saturn, conservatism. Together, these determine Donald Trump's attitudes in life: adherence to family values, the desire to protect himself by surrounding his relatives, and ultra-conservative views. All this was manifested in his political declarations and actions as a president. Orientation towards the internal problems of the United States, resistance to globalization, and the desire to protect himself from neighbors with a wall. Well, perhaps this is exactly the kind of president the United States needs now, with its internal problems and contradictions. The focus on solving domestic political and domestic economic problems can save the United States from the dramatic consequences of the coming crisis. The main thing is that such a president would have a lot of wise women as his advisors. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and do not forget to click on the bell to follow all of our updates.